In Hades 2, the most important choice that you will make at the start of each run is which weapon aspect you bring into the battle. Aspects completely transform how a weapon plays. They're more than just the stat tweaks. They dictate your combat rhythm, which boons you want to prioritize, and how you will handle the constant flow of enemies and the guardians. And some aspects will feel amazing right away, which will carry you through the maps with little effort, and others demand careful investment and precise execution before they start to shine. And then of course, there are few that feel underwhelming or clunky no matter what you do. So today I'm going to rank every single best weapon aspect in Hades 2. This is based on the overall strength, versatility, synergy with the boons, and even consistency in the high tier runs. Also, if you're interested in buying other PC or console games with 50 or 70% discount, then check out Instant Gaming. For example, I want to buy Elden Ring, so we just click on Add to Cart, then click Pay, then input our details and pay. After payment is complete, we will receive activation key, then copy and paste the key in, and it's that simple. So what are you waiting for? Click my link in the description and check out Instant Gaming for yourself. So let's start at the bottom. D-tier aspects aren't horrible, as every weapon in Hades 2 can carry you into the victory. But these ones, compared to the other weapons, will rely heavily on specific upgrades, where their base mechanics are so limiting that they rarely feel good compared to the alternatives. So first we have the aspect of the melinoe, the black coat. The black coat's base aspect will struggle because its value is tied almost entirely to the wave jack splash builds. Without the Poseidon synergy and a specific hammer like the exhaust riser, you're left with a weapon that feels weaker than most of its competition. The ceiling is there, with the right luck you can absolutely break encounters wide open, but those runs are exception and not the rule. Then next we have the aspect of the Artemis, the sister blades. On paper, the aspect of the Artemis will promise an exciting parry mechanic and a crit potential, but in practice though it underperforms. The parry feels unreliable and difficult to time, while the crit chance is attached to a handful of small damage strikes that doesn't move the DPS numbers. Compared to the stronger sister builds that lean into the raw damage or the bliss synergy, the Artemis feels like a worst option. Next, we have the aspect of the Selene, the black coat. The Selene's aspect is unique, for starting with the Vex Skyfall, but that's more of a novelty than power. Saving one reward by skipping the Hex will not justify an entire aspect of a slot. To get meaningful value, you will need Ares boons to boost the Skyfall, and unfortunately, the Ares is considered as one of the weakest gods in Hades 2. This dependency makes Selene's coat land firmly in the D tier. Next we have C tier, and these aspects aren't outright bad, but they feel like watered down versions of a stronger weapon. They often hinge on a single hammer or a narrow set of boons to feel powerful. First we have aspect of the momus. Momus is a great example of scaling too slowly. Its omega bursts have a long delay, which means enemies will rarely stand in place long enough to be punished. At max rank, the aspect feels much safer and more effective, but until then, you'll often find yourself channeling while enemies will simply move out of the range. Then we got aspect of the melinoe, the sister blades. This variant of the sister blades can put out decent damage, but it requires very specific boons, typically with the Heaven Flourish plus a curse effect like the Scorch or the Hitch. Even then, it plays like a worse version of a higher tier blade aspect. Overall, it can work, but it doesn't stand out. Then next, we have the aspect of the pain. The pan's weapon look flashy, but reality is grim. Its omega specials are sluggish, by leaving you very exposed. Most successful pan will not run the omega mechanic, but instead lean into the dash checks once you find the trick knives. Without this hammer though, the pan is super slow, and with Vow of Frenzy it becomes outright miserable. Next we have aspect of the Hell. Hell's aspect does pack power. Valkyrie will unload devastating attacks, but you're locked in place while doing it. Without the heavy boon investment, you're just a sitting target, so for players who master the timing, it can absolutely shred guardians, but for most, the clunkiness will outweigh the damage. Next we have aspect of the persephone. The sprouted effect is clever, but most players will gravitate towards the aspect for the bonus boon levels instead. That synergy shines with the Hephaestus builds, where rarity and level will matter the most, but most of those are niche cases, as Persephone does not bring enough on her own to climb the higher. Then next we have the aspect of the melinoe, the Argent skull. The skull aspect offers long-range keep-away gameplay. If you enjoy playing safe and slow, then it delivers. The main catch is that it almost entirely hinges on the wide grim hammer. With it, spamming quad omega attacks will become powerful, but without it, the aspect feels half finished. Next we got B tier, and these weapons are the ones that can absolutely carry runs, but they come with quirks or limitations. Overall, they're fun to use, often stylish, but not the most consistent picks. First on the list we have the aspect of the Eos. The Daybreaker mimic mechanic is incredibly fun. Your spectral companion mirrors your specials. This playstyle rewards spamming specials after launching a Daybreaker, and when everything lines up, it melts enemies. The drawback of course is the control. Daybreaker's movement is unpredictable, and sometimes you will watch helplessly as it misses the targets entirely. Next we have aspect of the supay. Supay advertises his rush boon synergy, but that's only one part of his identity. The Omega attack and the special are just as important, and with on-hit effects like the Scorch or the Blitz, this aspect can surprise you. The downside is of course his hunger for the magic. If you use him, then you will often feel resource starved, especially early on. Next we have aspect of the Shiva. The Shiva boasts the highest single target damage in the entire game. With the Flutter Strike or the Nova Strike combined with the Curse boon, it becomes devastating, but the catch is that you need to be careful about absorption damage specials, as they power up your Omega attacks, and you're vulnerable to flanking while channeling. But for disciplined players, the Shiva delivers some of the most fun and satisfying kills in the entire game. Next we have aspect of the melinoe, the Umbral Flames. This aspect's critical hit chance on both attacks and specials make it compatible with almost any damage boosting boon. Still, most players will ignore the crits and instead abuse its fast specials to stack Scorch with the Flame Flourish. It's effective, but it plays more like a tool for forming effects than a powerhouse on its own. Then also we have the aspect of the melinoe, the Moonstone axe, the Zoref. The Zoref's axe hits like a truck. The plus 50 HP and attack power will help to offset this sluggishness, but without a hammer like the dashing heave, you're in for a painful time. This aspect rewards spacing and patience, but demands far more work than the others for similar results. Next we have A tier, and these aspects are consistently strong and capable of dominating runs. They're just a step away below S tier because they lack either the raw consistency or the sheer versatility for our current meta. First we have aspect of the Anubis. Anubis will completely change the staff into a trap-based weapon. The core loop is simple but deadly. You drop a damaging field with your attack, then pull enemies into it with your special. No matter if you focus on Omega or standard moves, the synergy is very strong. With the Heaven Strike or the Flame Strike, Anubis will become devastating, and its low maintenance playstyle will make it beginner friendly as well. Next we have aspect of the Moros. The Moros thrives on setting up the Omega specials, then chaining explosions with the spamming attacks. With percentage based boons, the damage will snowball super quickly. His limitation is the magic. You're constantly channeling, and without the upgrades like the clean coil, the grind can feel too slow. Still, once he is rolling, the Moros is a beast. Then also we have the aspect of the nergal. The nergal aspect starts painfully slow, literally. You suffer through sluggish attacks until you can hit the berserker mode. Once upgraded though, the berserker can heal you and turn this weapon into a forgiving durable powerhouse. Overall, with Omega attacks, nergal can evolve from clunky to super dominating weapon in the endgame. Next we have aspect of the morrigan. Morrigan is versatile with multi-hit attacks that shine when paired on hit boons like the Flame Strike or the Nova Strike. His super powerful card, the Blood Triad, will deliver incredible burst potential, especially when in the Guardian fights. The challenge of course is mastering this combo flow to unleash this power consistently. Next we have aspect of the charon. The charon transforms Omega casts into monsters of AoV explosions. With Apollo and Lucid Gain, you effectively gain infinite magic by enabling endless spam. It's safe, it's destructive, and it's one of the best options for clearing large groups. The only tax is the channeling time, but the results will speak for themselves. Next up we have the aspect of the thanatos. The thanatos demands precision. The crits from morality are game changing, but the buff resets every time that you take even a scratch. And add to that the reliance on the whirlwind hammers, and this aspect feels punishing to play. Still, in the hands of a skilled player it can shine, especially after the buffs in the recent update. And finally, we have the aspect of the Nyx. Nyx Nightspawn will create a second stream of the attacks and the specials, essentially doubling your damage. Wave Strike is the natural pairing here. The drawback of course here is predictability. The combat loop is rigid and the style is not for everyone, but if you can master it, then you will get insane amount of DPS numbers. And finally, we have arrived at the strongest aspects in Hades 2. These are the weapons that dominate the leaderboards, carry speedruns, and deliver consistent victories even at the highest fear levels. First we have aspect of the Medea. No contest, Medea is the king. Even after the bug fixes, it remains the most dominant aspect in the game, starting with a staggering 90% damage boost to attacks and the specials, plus enlarged explosions. Medea is strong no matter what build you choose. Pair it with the Heaven Flourish and you are set. The catch is of course is the risk. You must use specials directly into the enemies without invulnerability. However, if you can master this, then Medea feels unstoppable. Next we have aspect of the Circe. Circe focuses on casts, and it's one of the few aspects where you can particularly ignore attack and the special. With tools like the Storm Ring or the Smolder Ring, the double cast and the Physic Leash will melt enemies at alarming speed. It's specialized, but it's so strong that it consistently clears even the toughest runs. And finally, we have the aspect of the melinoe, the Witch Staff. Don't underestimate the starting weapon. The Witch Staff with its aspect of the melinoe will offer bonus special power and near limitless build flexibility. No matter if you want to focus on Omega moves, standard combos or the hybrid play, it accommodates everything. Popular builds will pair Heaven Strike with a strong specials like the Sworn Flourish. It may be a beginner's tool, but in the right player hands, this is an endgame monster.